Hey everyone, this is Ryan Mitchell with thetinylife.com. Wanted to do a quick Q&A video today. I had asked people on Twitter and Facebook and Reddit to ask their questions about living off the grid. So today we're going to answer a few of those here. Stanley Tam asks about gray water solutions. So gray water, what I do here in my tiny house is I use all soaps and detergents and things like that are gray water suitable, basically. So Dr. Bronner's for like a general purpose soap, and then I use a shampoo from Aubrey's, which I find cleans better, or has less oily hair for my purposes at least. But generally, Dr. Bronner's and then Aubrey's for the soap. I've tried some others, didn't really like them. And then, the big thing about gray water is controlling what goes into it. And then from there, you can do different things of remediation, little ponds or gravel, French drain type of setups, things like that. Crystal asks about kind of off-grid septic options. You can obviously just go a traditional septic, which usually has a lot of regulations around it. There's some places that isn't the case, but when it comes to black water, basically anything from human waste, you really need to be very serious about how you're treating that and the process, because there's a lot of diseases that can come into play, odors and things like that. It's something to take very seriously. So you can do off-grid options, you can do human manure options, you can do have an incinerator toilet, things like that. This is, I think, probably one of the more difficult challenges of off the grid is the technical aspects of safely processing human waste and things like that. Samantha S. asks about the Tesla Powerwall. So the Tesla Powerwall is basically a wall-mounted unit that has a Tesla battery pack in it. And from what I understand right now, they actually have not released them. They have only done pre-orders. Someone had told me that they're actually using the kind of batteries that are left over when they swap out batteries for the Tesla cars, which I thought was really interesting. It inherently isn't bad, because they basically say, okay, when a battery drops below a certain effectiveness, we're going to take it out of the car and put it into these Tesla walls, and they can calculate the degradation here. So they've basically just adjusted it. It's actually a really ingenious way to repurpose those batteries in a new form, where you don't need the quite the performance of a sports car. So the jury's still out on whether that is going to be a good thing or bad thing, but they haven't quite hit market from what I understand. Yvonne asks, what is one thing you would like to have but can't when living off the grid? So there isn't a whole lot that you can't do with enough money and enough time and expertise. That's really the truth. I think the one thing that I'd like to have that I don't, which I could do if I had enough money, is I'd like to shift to an electric water heater. Right now I use a propane powered on-demand hot water heater. I'd like to shift to an electric one, but they really need a lot of power. Like the small units take 2 to 3 kilowatts of current when you're heating water. And it's not that you do it a lot, but that intense amount of power really strains most systems unless you design it for that specifically. And for me to achieve that, I would have needed to probably quadruple my system, which would be a big deal. All right, Info Shaman on Twitter asks, does living off the grid preclude staying on the web? I must get my written work products to my clients. So depends on where you are. I live in a city where there is really good cell phone signal, and I actually had the option of even bringing in a hard line for $1,000, $2,000 for the install. And then I could have had, major bandwidth, as much as I want, really. I decided just that I didn't want internet in my house unless I hopped on a little hotspot, so I can use my phone to actually turn it into a hotspot for my computer when I need it in a pinch. Then for those of you who are in more rural locations, it can be very expensive or near impossible to get high-speed internet. If you're just doing web surfing, emailing, watching a few little videos, it is very possible to do it over cell phone signal. It's just very expensive. I think I pay about $200 a month for my cell phone and my bandwidth, which is a lot of money, but it's also my cell phone and my internet. So most people, and I kind of roll in my TV. So if you were to take your cell phone bill, your internet bill, and your cable bill and add that all up, it'd probably be more than $200. So it's all a matter of perspective. If you're really far out there, you can also do satellite internet, which I've just heard is terrible and very expensive and requires contracts and things like that. All right, from Reddit, we have a question here about cooking off-grid. It says, how about cooking with electricity? Anybody use an induction cook stove? And they say they have a 75-watt solar setup and things like that. 75 watts is going to get you absolutely nothing. You can charge your cell phone and you'll be able to charge your laptop, and really that is about it. 75 watts, that's probably one of those little kits from Northern Tools or Tractor Supply. Honestly, they're really garbage. You can spend a little bit more money and get a significantly better system. But in terms of cooking, especially with induction, basically, yes, anything is possible with enough money. But realistically, you can get a gas range cooktop for very, very affordable and be able to achieve the same thing. A lot of people even argue that gas is better than electric because you have more precise control and you can really ramp up the heat if you need to. So when it comes to cooking, I stick with gas, and I think a lot of people have this ideal that they want to, get away from natural gas and petroleum type of products. And the truth is, in an off-grid situation, if you want to have a certain standard of living, which I think most of us do want, you're gonna have to do propane. It's just part of the mix. It's the reality of it. And everyone who actually does off-grid living day to day for a long period of time is using propane. Yes, there are people out there, and I know there's gonna be some comments, well, I just use a wood stove. Yes, you can absolutely just use a wood stove. The downside to that is you're chopping wood the rest of your life.